This episode of my prison bus reboot project begins with a long stashed away sheet of plywood, but before we get to what I did with the plywood, let me show you a few other jobs I dug into on the bus. First, there was this DIY switch plate right there beside the kitchen sink, and I made the plate from some of that black plastic tub lid I've been using. And there are two 12-volt kicker switches on there, one to flip on my water pump and the other to run the LED strip lights that run up the driver's side of the bus. First job down. On to number 2, which brings me back to plywood. Now this is some of that pre-varnished stuff that I used on my flip-up table in my last episode. This time though, I'm using it to make the bathroom door. I didn't do too much to really fashion up the door. I just glued on some strips on the edges to sort of bump up the thickness. I sanded it a bit and then moved the door into the bus. Now, the dealio here with this bathroom door is that I want to create two spaces with it. One space is created with the door closed lengthwise on the bus, and when it's in place that way, it closes off the toilet and the bathroom sink, kind of makes them invisible, and opens up the larger flow of the bus that goes all the way back to the bedroom. And then in the other position, with the door swung closed crosswise across the bus, the door creates a bathroom, like a full-on bathroom that connects across the hallway. You got the shower on one side and the toilet and sink area on the other. So it kind of serves those two purposes. At the top of the bathroom door, I meticulously and carefully and precisely added a few more of those neodymium magnets that I used on the kitchen table without quite as much care as maybe I should have, so some people would give me a hard time in the comments last time. Anyway, I was a little more careful this time with the magnets. I installed a metal plate on that stop, and they work pretty well. I thought they'd be enough to secure the door in place, like really lock it in place, but I think I'm gonna need to add like an actual catch to the door to really hold the door solidly. The dogs came in and took turns testing out the privacy of that new bathroom space. And as you can probably see here, if Millie does something, Tink has to do it too. So in the end, they both checked out the bathroom and they seem to approve. Job number 2, down. Okay, it's the weekend and Melissa has a podcast about knitting and stuff. And we are out in the bus talking about knitting. It's kind of like not so much about building the prison bus, but about yarn and stuff.
Talking about men knitting.
Okay.
Right, like you're a carpenter, like and a knitter.
Everyone did a worm hat back in the day. It's kind of fleecy. I think I cut a fleece out of something.
I think it was one of the first hats I ever. I think the basic thing you said to me was like,
going on?
What about dogs you knit?
Like this gray hat that Tink's wearing. Next up was to bust out a couple of big storage boxes for the space over the mini fridge. And these would be made from that long hoarded sheet of plywood that I pulled out of my bike shed at the beginning of the video. You may recall that the fridge space is sized for a larger, more gourmet and awesome Norcold fridge, which is really like the Ferrari of RV fridges. And that's really in my future. Right now what I have is a freebie mini fridge that's working pretty well, and then room for some temporary storage over the fridge. I made the boxes like the other drawers I've made for the bus with glued and screwed bodies and a slotted 1/4 inch plywood bottom kind of slid in those slots. And I faced these boxes with some leftover really thin plywood strips from my flooring days. So the boxes are going to kind of look like the floor, which I think will tie things together just kind of visually on that side of the bus. And with these guys, I was resolved to build some DIY oak sliders on the sides. And I got the sliders in place on the drawers, and then the other half of them installed in the cavities themselves. But when I put the drawers in, they were just like a little bit wiggly, kind of loosey-goosey. So I added some strips and additional grooves at the bottom of the drawers, and they seem pretty good now. I could see going with traditional sliders at some point because these drawers are just a teeny bit wiggly, but they're really kind of temporary and they're almost like deep storage boxes. So I think they're probably okay as it is. We'll see how much they annoy me, and if they do, I'll go with those traditional sliders. Alright, so the next job involved tiling the shower. And I went with some big old gray tiles that I think look pretty good, having failed to score any free or cheap tiles in the intervening months since I built the shower surround. Sometimes things fall in your lap and sometimes they don't. In this case, I bit the bullet and shelled out for some tile. I should say that I really like using big tiles in showers, and I've done it once or twice before. For me, it means fewer joints, less stuff to line up, and they also kind of look cool. So I go with big tiles, and I've had good luck with them so far. All right, I'm gonna call it right there. Not because all these jobs are done, but just because the temperature has dropped to the extent that I can't really finish this tile job. I can warm the bus up pretty well inside, like the air temperature, but I wanna make sure that wallboard itself is warm enough to take my mastic. So anyway, the tile's looking pretty good. It's about halfway done. After tiling, obviously I'll have to grout it and seal it up, but that will close out the shower and make it pretty good. One job left to do over here, which you'll see next time. My bathroom door, as it swings shut over here, I want to make sure it has a nice closure, like a really good clean closure, and some two-way catches. I got some closet catches that I think might be good. It's kind of like a ball bearing closure that will allow me to close the door this way and this way. So I'll see how those work. If not, I'll probably make something up. So that's left to be done. But dude, after that, the bus on the inside is just about done. The interior is just about done. I've got some fabric work to do, some cushions to manufacture, curtains to make, and things like that. But otherwise, it's really nicely tuned up in here. It's feeling pretty good. And there is some work left to do on the outside of the bus, which you're gonna see in the future videos. This is video 45 I don't know if I'm gonna make it to 50. I'm hoping to finish the bus before too long, but we'll see. Thank you for checking out the video. If you haven't seen my Patreon feed, check it out. I've got my hat out over there. I've also got Instagram photos that I put up regularly. That's a lot of fun. Most of all, if you share this video, I appreciate it. And if you comment down below, that's just awesome. It's always great to like connect with people, get ideas, things I screw up on, give me some feedback, and it really helps me to make sure the job gets done right. I will see you in the next build video.